Hello everybody and welcome to yet another episode of The Week in Technology. My name is Karamjit and along with me is my host Aisha Mustafa. Hi Aisha, how are you doing?
Okay.
Pretty good. Okay, very good. As usual, we'll start off with what's going to be the cover story for this coming week. And we thought we'd highlight a company in the creative content, digital content creation space. In this case, it's Inspidia Sendirian Berhad. We're focusing on them because they won a deal, a co-production deal with this global children's television programming show called Kidsco. And Kidsco is actually co-owned by NBC Universal, Chorus Entertainment Inc. and Cookie Jar Group. This is a 24-hour pay TV, right? A kids channel and focusing on children's programming. And Inspidia won the deal, on a competitive bid, and they're extremely excited about it. CJC, who is their head of sales and marketing, was understandably very excited about the deal. And not just will this profile Malaysia, as a country where there are interesting things going on, there is talent, there is creativity in the digital and creative media space, but for Inspidia, it also is another notch, in their or another feather in their cap, and they hope to raise their profile further and move on to greater things. Now, as you know, the creative content space is one vertical where our government is putting in a lot of effort. They've put in a lot of money into the space, and I think more money is coming in because the talent is clearly there. And also, they're trying to improve the framework for the industry so that the entrepreneurs, have it easier in starting a company and getting the funding, and moving up, the chain quickly. So this is a good success story by Inspidia. We're highlighting it, and we hope there's more to come. And for Inspidia, CJC was saying that one thing they're excited about is that there's going to be a transfer of experience and talent, and also credentials, to the table that Kidsco will bring to this co-production. So they're looking forward to learning from Kidsco, as much as they're going to be contributing their own, talent and ideas to the show. And the name of the show, Aisha, is interesting. It's because it's a children's show with an environmental theme. The show is called Boo, B-O-O, and Me, M-E. Basically, it's about two kids. But if you put the words together, and in Malay, it sounds as Bumi, right, which is the Malay word for earth. So I really like that play of words by them. So kudos to them, Carry on the great work, guys from Inspidia, and let's see more wins out there from other companies too. Aisha, you've been in the space, you've been covering this for a while. What are your thoughts on the creative content space so far and the companies in there?
Oh, well, I wouldn't say it's a while. It's only been a few months.
Coming up to 5 months, yes.
Yeah, I'm due for a confirmation next month. I think with the people that we have, there is no shortage of skills in them. I think we're very capable of doing everything, like, whether it's a movie, whether it's an ad, whether it's a short skit, I think we're very capable of. It's just, it's storytelling, and there are creative people out there. So, I think essentially content is storytelling, and that's the first thing that we need, that needs to get right. So, in terms of skills, I don't think there's any shortage in the people, but I think there are not enough people. And I think that if we want to sort of really focus on it and sort of have Malaysia be sort of a powerhouse in content, then there definitely needs to be a lot more people.
A lot more people, yeah. I mean, that's a story that readers of The Edge, are very familiar with, because time and time again, in the various verticals within the technology space, we've highlighted that problem, that companies, come up against this wall, which is, just the lack of numbers, of good people, and I think a lot of times there are good people there, but because talent is global now, so a lot of Malaysian talent, in some of these verticals gets sucked down south, right? And for obvious reasons of salary and career enhancement or whatever, but we can compensate that for that, because talent is global. We open up immigration policies and make it easier for companies to hire the various skill sets they need, right? I think we can overcome that too. So it's not an insurmountable problem, but it's definitely staring entrepreneurs in the face, when they gain a bit of traction in some of these, technology markets that we've been focusing on. But besides that, talking about talent, then another article we want to highlight in coming week's Next Value is an article by Dr. Sivapalan, who has his own column called Money and Entrepreneurship. And in this case, he's highlighting the urgent need for Malaysia to creatively, destruct and reconstruct our economy. Because he's saying that the old ways of running the economy are over, and we cannot compete in the cost game anymore. We need to move up the value chain. He calls it the brain economy. And really, he says that what we need to do is to stop paying lip service to the change agenda, and that we need to focus on innovation and brain power, as the cornerstone for our economic policies. And he gave this interesting anecdote where, factory workers and fresh graduates from 15, 20 years ago would be earning 1,000 ringgit for factory workers and maybe 1,500 to 2,000 ringgit for fresh graduates. And he says today, 20 years later, a lot of our fresh graduates are still in that, earning power at the initial stages of coming out into the workforce, And our factory workers too are earning around 1,000 ringgit. So he says there's something seriously wrong with that picture. And if we don't re-engineer our economy under Najib's leadership, 15 years from now, or actually 11 years from now, when we hit 2020, where we're supposed to be a developed nation, these graduates, could still be earning, more or less in the same income bracket, and our factory workers could be still earning around 1,000 ringgit a month, and augmenting their income by selling goreng pisang or nasi lemak,
But
which is
do you think Najib can do it?
Sorry again?
Do you think Najib will be able to sort of
I don't know.
change it into a knowledge-based
I know he's got the right people around him,
Okay.
They're all telling him the right things to do, so there is no reason for him not to, There is no reason for him not to.
I'm a bit more skeptical. I think he'll be stuck with the old ways.
Always, I don't think so. I'm an optimist.
I'm hoping he'll prove me wrong, but yeah.
I am an optimist, although we are critical, right? But we are optimists, and I think things will change, for the better, because there are enough people out there also, publicly clamoring for change and for the right kind of change, right? So we'll see. I think in the ITC space, in ICT space, and BiTech space, I am hopeful that we will see better things to come.
But speaking of Najib, and you say that you think that he'll be able to change. I mean, the recent ministry changes that he's done with his new cabinet lineup. What do you think of it? I mean, communications is now under, I think, information, communication, culture, and arts.
Yes.
Under
Dato'
Rais Yatim.
Yes. I think Rais Yatim is a performer. All the political pundits were saying before the reshuffle that he's going to be one of those who's going to lose their jobs. But Najib has clearly shown that he believes Rais Yatim is a performer. He can performance now. The mantra that Najib demands. I think Rais can perform and deliver.
He may be able to perform, but I think that the combination is a bit weird. Culture and arts and the communication. Our high-speed broadband is lumped together under a ministry that talks about culture and arts. I mean, not that it's a bad thing. It's just that it just doesn't seem to gel.
Right now, it doesn't seem to gel, but at least the communications part and the information part does gel. That makes sense. So let's focus. It's not like Rais is going to say that everything that he wants to do, he wants to see done. There must be an element of culture or arts into it. There are two key verticals in there, and I'm sure it's not necessary that everything has to be there has to be cross-pollination between the two.
I think
so
Najib also.
I'm comfortable with that for the moment.
I think Najib also mentioned about lumping information and communication together because he believes in social media and the new media. So that's how I think.
That could be one, but also because information in the old days was very analog, right? Was very it was analog based, but today information is all digital, and that's where communication comes into. The telcos and all, it's all about communications, and the medium of delivering it has become digitized. So I think it makes sense for the two to be merged, and at some point it may just be called, the Ministry of Communications, instead of informations being there. So which is, I would prefer the Ministry of Communication, and having the word information eventually just being phased out. On that note, we will wrap up the show. We're at the end of our 10-minute slot. Thank you very much for watching. Please send in your comments and emails and keep watching, and like we said before, help us mold the show into the show that you want it to be, right? So have a great and productive week ahead with technology. We'll see you next week.